Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we delve into the realm of science and reason with The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark, a gripping book by the renowned astronomer and science communicator Carl Sagan. Here, Sagan equips readers with the tools needed to differentiate between the allure of pseudoscience and the empirical rigor of genuine science. As an enthusiastic advocate for the scientific method and skeptical thinking, Dr. Sagan elucidates how scientific thinking is instrumental in understanding the world and combating the darkness of ignorance and superstition. With a series of vivid examples and thought-provoking arguments, he explains the significance of science in education and its indispensable role in fostering a critically thinking society. Author Carl Sagan is not only a celebrated expert in astronomy and the quest for extraterrestrial intelligence, but also a masterful writer whose portfolio includes classics like Broca's Brain and Pale Blue Dot. His ability to enkindle wonder and curiosity has been felt across the globe, particularly through his Emmy and Peabody award-winning television series, Cosmos. The Demon-Haunted World is a must-read for science enthusiasts intrigued by the methodology of science. Anyone eager to understand the stark contrast between astronomy and astrology, or critical thinkers aiming to refine their analytical skills. Join us in exploring how science illuminates the darkness and empowers us to think more deeply about the mysteries of the universe. The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. Introduction. Embrace the wonders of science for a brighter tomorrow. Step into a world where every cured disease, every satellite orbiting the Earth, and every tap on our smartphones is a hymn to the marvels of science. This realm of discovery and knowledge is not just our reality, but our greatest ally in cultivating health, happiness, and progress. And yet, a shadow looms over this land of enlightenment, the creeping tendrils of superstition. Astrologers casting their charts, religious zealots preaching dogma, and a plethora of mystics are rallying against the bastion of science, labeling it as arrogant, narrow, and even dull. Drawing wisdom from the pages of the insightful The Demon-Haunted World by Carl Sagan, we embark on a journey to demonstrate why such criticisms are unfounded and dangerous. This book is a clarion call for us as a species to let go of our paranormal fantasies and outfit ourselves with scientific understanding. Throughout this journey, you will learn why the stars have nothing to do with our fate, the glaring lack of credible evidence for alien abductions, and why the world of science must reshape its image in the public eye. Ready your curiosity? For you are about to explore the pivotal reasons science is not just the path, but the destination for a brighter, more informed future. Part 1. Critical Thinking. The compass of discovery in a scientist's quest. Peer up at the night sky and set your gaze upon the moon, a celestial body that once inspired notions of a giant face peering back at us. While myths once flourished around this lunar man, science has since swept aside such fancies with the cleansing broom of skepticism and research, revealing the truth of ancient craters. So how have we come to recognize these myths for what they are? Through the meticulous gaze of science. Too often, we take for granted the process that transforms outlandish hypotheses, like a person living in the moon, into dust. Scientists extend an invitation to all theories, examine them through the finest telescopic scrutiny, and do not rest until they've filtered out the flimsy from the formidable. The scientific method is like an intellectual crucible. It heats up ideas, boils off unlikely explanations, and leaves behind a residue of knowledge. If you approached a scientist with a burnt finger, blaming a mythical dragon's breath, they would demand proof, with every more plausible explanation ruled out first. The beauty of science lies in its ever-present skepticism and the knowledge that our human minds are prone to error. This awareness breeds a culture where scientists tirelessly test, debate, and refine each other's contributions. It's a self-correcting march, one where even centuries-old doctrines are not sacred. Just ask Copernicus, who dared to spin the tables and place the sun, not the earth, at the center of our celestial dance. This steadfast skepticism is the sieve through which only the richest of scientific truths may pass, ensuring that with each passing generation we gain a clearer vision of the vast expanse we call the universe. Part 2. Science Literacy, an essential tool for navigating a world of myths and facts. Imagine a world where the majority of the population can't distinguish a scientific assertion from a claim of ghostly hauntings. That's the world we live in, where an alarming 95% of Americans struggle to articulate what sets scientific theories apart from mere superstitions. This gaping chasm in understanding marks a pervasive scientific illiteracy. This illiteracy reveals a profound gap in comprehending not just the essence of scientific inquiry, but also the key differences between science and belief systems rooted in religion and the supernatural. The sophisticated tool set that science employs to sort fact from fiction, the scientific method, remains an enigma to many. Such a gap in understanding leaves people vulnerable to the allure of pseudoscience, unable to discern sound scientific evidence from unfounded conjectures. It shouldn't come as a surprise, then, to find that many hold astrological predictions in high esteem. Evidence be damned. Consider the phenomenon where vagueness masquerades as personalization. A French study exposes this by dispatching a serial killer's horoscope to numerous Parisians. Despite the dark origin, a staggering 94% saw themselves reflected in these words, a testament to the manipulative power of broad strokes over personal details. The question looms: why does pseudoscience ensnare so many minds? It's simple. It plays a beguiling tune to our emotions, offering an enchanting glimpse into the unknown, promising to decode the secrets of our destinies through the mystical shuffling of tarot cards. Next to such allure, the robust reliability of science can seem, by comparison, rather mundane. From the classroom onwards, the narrative persists that science is either too formidable or just plain dull. Parents and educators, themselves often not well versed in the scientific method, inadvertently reinforce these misconceptions. Resultantly, disciplines like math and the natural sciences fall out of favor, their potential to inspire and enlighten woefully untapped. This disinterest in science isn't just an individual predicament, it runs deeper, posing a threat to our collective intellectual and moral progress. As science sits neglected on the sidelines, we risk leaving our society's moral compass without its most reliable needle, knowledge rooted in evidence and truth. Part 3. The Seduction of Pseudoscience in a World Craving Proof. Rewind to a time when medieval minds conceived of nocturnal demons and witchcraft, and it's easy to smirk at the credulity of our ancestors. Yet here we stand, in an age of science, and still, tales of the extraordinary lay siege to our reasoning. Thousands in the United States recount tales of otherworldly abductions and experimentations, yet not a single artifact of alien origin has surfaced. No strange instruments, no implants, and certainly no hybrid offspring. Tales that should crumble under the slightest scrutiny often persist simply because they have an inscrutable, human-like flavor. Take, for example, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, who craftily sculpted crop circles under the veil of night. Their handiwork, once attributed to extraterrestrial artists, shocked many when revealed as a terrestrial prank. Moreover, alien abductions often unravel into something far less otherworldly when examined through the lens of science. Hallucinations, which can strike anyone under the right conditions, be it through fever, sleep deprivation, or even a tweak in brain chemistry, offer a more grounded explanation for these supposed encounters with the unknown. It's quite telling that these abductions supposedly occur on the border of sleep when the brain flirts with a dream state. Even shared hallucinations aren't beyond belief, as the case of Barney and Betty Hill illustrates. Their joined narrative of interstellar kidnappings bore an uncanny resemblance to the plot of Invaders from Mars, a film released 2 decades prior. Such examples underscore the powerful, if misleading, allure of pseudoscientific beliefs in an era that desperately seeks evidential backing for its wonders and mysteries. Part 4. Peeling back the stereotypes shrouding scientists and the scientific pursuit. Recall the animated characters from childhood television or the figures populating today's cartoons. When they are scientists, do they kindle warmth and fondness? Chances are they don't. More often, they're seen at the extremes, as the bumbling nerd or the unhinged genius dabbling along the borders of the morally permissible. The brush with which the media paints the landscape of science and its practitioners tends to dip generously into the ink of negative stereotypes. It conjures images of the mad scientist, akin to Dr. Frankenstein or Dr. Jekyll, framing the scientific endeavor as a realm for the socially inept or the ethically reckless. This portrayal feeds into the narrative that scientists are close-minded, that they arrogantly dismiss accounts of the paranormal without thoughtful examination. However, the truth is that their apparent skepticism isn't a sign of closed-mindedness, but a foundational principle of the scientific method. It is this skepticism that has illuminated humanity's path to profound insights about our world. Yet, skepticism from the public isn't entirely unfounded. Science, with all its potential for greatness, is not immune to moral ambiguity. Its discoveries can lead to either marvels or horrors. The story of Edward Teller stands as a cautionary tale. A man who fathered the hydrogen bomb and glossed over its dangers in his thirst for scientific advancement. The scientific community is tasked with the sobering responsibility of addressing fears around the potential misapplication of science. Upholding ethical standards, particularly around technologies with grave implications, is not an option, but a necessity. Transparency becomes the currency of trust. When scientists openly share their findings, the shadows of potential misuse can be swiftly dispelled. As we venture deeper into the subject, the forthcoming narratives will unveil why embracing science holds paramount importance for our society. Part 5. Unveiling a world shaped by science, the beacon of progress and understanding. Dare to envision an existence devoid of the touch of science, a shadowed world where superstitions eclipse logic and the comforts of modern technology are mere fantasy. Without the insights springing from physics, biology, chemistry, and their kin, the specter of primal fears would rule. Computers, televisions, even the humble toaster, all relegated to the impossible. Indeed, the double-edged sword of scientific progress has carved out paths to destruction alongside those of innovation. But when wielded with care and a moral compass, science has proven its capability to elevate society far above the perils it might also present. The boon of science manifests in a triad of societal benefits. It guides us from harm's way, revolutionizes our material existence, and aids us in contemplation of the profound mysteries of existence. Consider the safeguarding power of science. Although it unveils mechanisms that sometimes lend themselves to hazardous technologies like nuclear weaponry, it also gifts us the foresight to anticipate these threats and strategies for containment. In a historical twist, remember that Albert Einstein, the emblem of scientific genius, transcended his role of scientific discovery to warn of an impending nuclear arms race. Beyond defense, technological progression born of scientific understanding can catalyze economic prosperity. It feeds into a cycle of enhanced production, efficiency, fosters renewable resource utilization, and attracts the gaze of international investments. Echoes of the United States industrial renaissance. In developing regions, such surges in economic vitality directly translate to an elevated standard of living, nuanced by the efficient harnessing of resources and capital influx. And then there are the eternal enigmas of our existence. As science dissects the details of our origins, the architecture of our planet, and the fabric of the cosmos, it gradually fills the void of uncertainty, offering us a glimpse of our place within the cosmic tapestry. In grabbing science's extended hand, we begin a journey that promises not only technological marvels, but also a deeper comprehension of the narrative we're a part of, one that shapes our identity in the grand scheme of things. Part 6: Democracy and Science, twin pillars upholding the freedom of thought and inquiry. Cast your mind back to the founding fathers of American democracy, and the visage of Thomas Jefferson is likely to emerge. Renowned for his pivotal role in etching the framework of the new nation, Jefferson was also a passionate advocate for science, amassing a repertoire of scientific literature and instruments with the conviction that education was paramount. It's with this spirit he infused the Constitution and Bill of Rights with bold, transformative ideas. The values of science mirror those cherished by democracy, with freedom of speech, skepticism, practicality, and impartiality at their collective heart. Democratic societies, like scientific communities, flourish on the rich soil of diverse and unbridled idea exchange, a milieu where every voice has weight but must withstand the rigors of critique. Take the design of modern democracies, where the tripartite structure, legislative, executive, and judicial, ensures a continuous probe into each other's activities. Accountability reigns supreme. No one soars above the reach of the law, and justifications to the populace are a requisite. In the realm of science, the process mirrors this. Researchers must defend their conclusions against the crucible of peer analysis. Errors are but signposts to progress, charting a course of refinement and betterment that spans both governmental halls and laboratory walls. Leaders in a democracy are tested by the ballot, their political ventures effectively experiments whose results are judged at the polls, just as scientific theories confront the trial of empirical testing. Failures, in either field, be it at the hands of the electorate or the verdict of experimental data, demand a surrender of the discredited for the advent of the new. These shared principles assert a common truth. Just as tyranny stifles the liberty to exchange and question ideas, so too it tends to shun the pursuit of scientific investigation. For in the hands of the despot, power hinges on the suppression of that same openness and critical discourse that forms the bedrock of both democracy and scientific endeavor. Part 7: Science, a symphony of wonder harmoniously coexisting with faith and humanity. To some, science appears as a sterile landscape, stripped of wonder and confined by cold logic, paling against the rich tapestry of religious miracles and the enigmatic allure of the paranormal. Passion and awe seem native to the domain of the spiritual, leaving science in the stark light of rationality. Yet, to consider the realm of science as devoid of romance and awe is to overlook the profundities it unravels. Even well-understood scientific phenomena retain an air of enchantment that rivals any supernatural claim. Take the simple act of touch. One might think that in feeling the texture of an object, there is intimacy in contact. Science reveals, however, that this is a dance of electrical charges repelling each other so that no true touch occurs. There remains forever a microscopic void between what we feel and the felt. The oddities don't end there. Venture to speeds approaching the light, and time begins to contort, even reversing. Our very bodies are celestial, composed of stardust older than the mountains, oceans, even life itself on this planet. Science does not just acknowledge the splendor of our cosmos, it celebrates it, elevates it, offering a haven for our curiosity and an anthem to human achievement. In this light, we see science not as an adversary of spirituality, but as its kindred spirit, a source of contemplation and mystery in its own right, illuminating the path through the darkness of ignorance. And so, science does not negate religion, rather it complements it. Many turn to faith to infuse life with meaning and purpose. Still, science's exposition of existence is no less wondrous, and it does not preclude the divine. Both, born of a deep-seated human yearning to comprehend our place in the universe, Science and religion may differ in language and methodology, yet they converge in their quest, two currents in a vast human river flowing towards understanding. Part 8. The Science of Critical Thinking, sharpening the mind to test and assess theories. Not just the intellect of scholars or the pursuit of truth in labs, skepticism and critical thinking are instruments of immense value in the day-to-day. You don't need a white lab coat to harness the power of these tools. Anyone can apply the scientific approach to enhance their life. The foundation of this mental agility is in crafting a solid hypothesis, specific, clear, and able to be proved false through observation or testing. This rigorous benchmark is a stark contrast to the lax claims often made by pseudoscience. Consider the utterance of a fortune teller who proclaims, "Tomorrow you will have an eventful day." This prediction fails the test of a good hypothesis. Eventfulness is a subjective concept, resistant to objective verification. Had the fortune teller predicted the lottery numbers, their claim would face the crucible of empirical testing. Importantly, any evidence must withstand independent verification. Claims of alien encounters, for example, lose credibility when supported solely by the testimony of a single individual. For scientific consideration, facts need to be corroborated by a collective, ensuring validity beyond subjective certainty. When we weave facts into a hypothesis, it's vital to explore every conceivable alternative explanation. Every strand of the argumentative web must hold up to examination, free from fragile links of half-truths or inconsistencies. A common trap in reasoning to look out for is confusing correlation and causation. Imagine stumbling upon a study that finds a higher proportion of homosexuals among college graduates than non-graduates. This correlation should not fool us into conflating education with determining sexual orientation. Deploying these tools of critical analysis allows us to deftly sift through perplexing or dubious arguments, distilling what is solid and sound from the chaff of fallacy. Lean on these pillars of scientific inquiry, and you'll find yourself discerning truth with a clarity sharpened by the very best of skeptic traditions. Part 9. Igniting a passion for science and critical thought from the classroom to daily life. Consider for a moment the transformative power of literacy for African American slaves in the era of American slavery, how learning to read and write offered a beacon of hope, tools for empowerment, and a path to liberation. Knowledge was, and still is, a potent force for social change. It is through education, especially in science and critical thinking, that individuals can escape the clutches of poverty and oppression, that societies can challenge unjust structures of power, and that young minds can flourish. Sadly, in the corridors of modern education, the vibrancy of science teaching has dimmed, its pulse weakened. This worrying trend is laid bare in the performance of American students, trailing behind their peers in international rankings. For instance, in an international algebra assessment, Japanese students considerably outshined their American counterparts, a distressing sign for an education system that once stood proud. But hope is not lost. Deep within us lies a wellspring of curiosity, a legacy from our evolutionary ancestors, whose survival hinged on their cleverness and willingness to explore the unknown. Our capacity for inquiry, carved paths of survival for those early humans experimenting with medicinal herbs and more. To rekindle this intrinsic inquisitiveness in children, parents, and educators must foster an environment that beckons, questions rather than stifles them, that celebrates the explorative experiment over the passive absorption of facts. A shift in teaching is needed, one that departs from rote pedagogy towards a dialogue about the journey of discovery, understanding not just the what but the how of our accumulated knowledge. Questions like, how do we know Earth orbits the Sun, invite students to voyage through the method of revelation, not merely absorb its products. And the quest for understanding doesn't halt at classroom doors. Throughout life, the sharpened tool of critical thinking remains a trusted ally. Both children and adults alike benefit from a mind that questions, that seeks to understand, ensuring that curiosity and rationality continue to pave the pathways to knowledge. Part 10, Championing Science Through Public Policy and Media Storytelling. Throughout this discussion, we've unveiled the profound significance of science and critical thought in our personal lives and society at large, and we've witnessed the disservice done by media's portrayal of science and its stewards. Transforming this narrative demands more than an overhaul of educational systems. It calls for a concerted effort from governments and media platforms to nurture and celebrate the pursuit of scientific knowledge. One pivotal move lies in the hands of governments to amplify their support and funding for scientific research that seeks knowledge for its own sake. When you consider the colossal budget allocated to defense and weaponry, upwards of $300 billion, the pinched purse strings for pure research seem all the more constrictive. History has shown us time and again that monumental discoveries, those that have birthed the likes of microwaves and radios, were often serendipitous fruits born from research with no specific endgame. With more funding freedom, who knows what breakthroughs await just beyond the horizon of structured inquiry? For their part, scientists must become ambassadors of their own cause, adeptly communicating the potential impact of their work for humanity's benefit. In doing so, they can harness public enthusiasm, building a formidable case for the allocation of funding. Simultaneously, the responsibility falls on the shoulders of media creators to shift their narrative focus. Rather than glorifying the otherworldly whims of pseudoscience, media can forge a new path that celebrates and demystifies authentic science, dispelling the stale image of the awkward, isolated genius and, instead, inspiring, independent, analytical thought. Such was the mission behind Carl Sagan's beloved television series Cosmos, launched in 1980, which invited viewers to marvel with him at the splendors of science, bringing rigorous research out of the academic shadows and into the warmth of public curiosity. The stakes are high. Denying the public from this rich engagement with scientific thinking is to risk sinking into a chasm of missed opportunities and unlit inspiration. In the mission to safeguard our future, to know our world and ourselves, every lost chance for understanding is a step backward from the potential grandeur of what we could achieve. Final summary. From the vast expanses of the cosmos to the minutiae of our daily lives, science and critical thinking emerge as powerful beacons, guiding us toward truths both profound and practical. The beauty of science lies not in cold calculation, but in its ability to broaden our horizons, injecting a sense of awe into our understanding while remaining grounded in rigorous skepticism. This openness to question, to wonder, and to verify is science's greatest gift. It invites us to look past illusions and empowers us with knowledge that is tested by fire. Yet, such a critical eye does not necessarily dim the spiritual richness of our existence. Rather, it can enhance our appreciation for the incredible tapestry of reality. Through this lens, we see that to know our world, to know ourselves, is not to confine our spirits but to free them, to explore, discover, and marvel in the vast playground of the universe with both feet firmly planted in the wonders of scientific discovery. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.